Everybody, my name is Amy Webster. So I'll be talking a little bit. I work at DOW Chemical here in South Charleston, West Virginia. So I will be telling you a little bit about me as well as about DOW. Let me try and get rid of. So I am currently a unit leader at DOW. So what that is I have production engineer responsibilities as well as people leadership. So the plant is staffed 24/7 by operators on rotating shifts, and they report to me. I graduated in 2015 from DOW Tech. It was in Montgomery, West Virginia at the time. It's now moved to Beckley with a Bachelor's of Science in Chemical Engineering. While I've been at DOW, I've gotten my MBA, which is a Master's in Business Administration from online. I've been with the company for almost 9 years. So I started out after 2 internships working as a production engineer for chemical mixing, which is a plant here in South Charleston, and then transitioned over to another plant, Oxide Addicts, to be a senior engineer. And then I was the improvement manager. So I did improvement projects supporting 3 plants. And finally, last year, I became the unit leader for Triton. I'm originally from Randolph County, Elkins, West Virginia, which is that photo in the mountain middle. I have 4 siblings. I'm the oldest. I am married to Ian, my husband. He's a civil engineer. We met at school. And we have 2 rescue dogs, Piper and Oscar. Speaking of rescue stuff, I'm very passionate with the animal shelter. I'm always volunteering, fostering animals. I have several foster fails. I also like to play the piano. I enjoy baking and reading, and those here love that I bake goods for them. Professionally, I'm very interested in operations, so I enjoy putting on the hard hat, the steel toes, everything, and going out in the field and doing that type of work. I'm also very big with personal safety. So personal safety is using a ladder correctly. It's how we go into tanks. It's everything about personal, like how do we keep ourselves safe? The other 2 big things I'm big on is influential leadership. So influential leadership, this is my first true leadership role where I have direct reports, but everybody's an influential leader. So whether or not you directly report to, they directly report to you, you can influence your friend to do something or something like that. And last but certainly not least, because why I'm here today, is educational outreach. So I really enjoy getting out with the community, engaging, especially we do STEM activities with the community locally. It's something I really enjoy. A little bit about DOW. DOW is a very large plant. So we have a large company. So we have about 35,000 employees. As you can see, we have over 100 sites in over 30 different countries. So this is just a map of where all we are located. So what's DOW want to do? So these are our mission, purpose, and goals. I'm not going to read all of these to you, but if you kind of look, you see the word sustainable. We want to make sure that we're inclusive and sustainable. We want, best in class. We want to protect the planet. But we put our money where our mouth is. So we have sustainability targets as a company. So what are we going to do? By 2030, we're going to reduce our carbon emissions by 5 million metric tons. But by 2050, we'll be carbon neutral. So here too about methane and stuff, that's all carbon based. So we're going to actually convert our plants where they're carbon neutral. We don't produce any carbon that gets emitted. We're going to stop the waste, and basically we're going to collect plastic, reuse it, and recycle it, and we're going to close the loop. So DOW sells a lot of different things. So there's a lot of things you're probably using and wearing you don't realize come from DOW. And basically all of our DOW products that are stored in the packaging will be reusable or recyclable. We also look at the value chain sustainability. So there's quite a few things we've got going on that we like to do. There's a couple here that I want to highlight. So this DOW Therm, this heat transfer fluid. Heat transfer fluid is actually something we make some of that actually here in West Virginia. But what this does right here is basically solar panels, and solar panels collect heat. Heat is energy. How do you convert that heat to energy? So what they did is they have a fluid. So the solar panels are heating up this fluid, and this fluid is holding that heat so they can transfer it somewhere else so they can convert it into energy so you can use it to do things like charge your phone. The other one I want to talk about more is EcoFast, and that's actually on this next slide. So what we did, so I don't know if anybody in here has ever dyed clothes or watched TikTok videos about dyeing clothes, because somehow I got on that for a while. But basically you have a big pot of water and you have to boil it and you have to dump this whole bottle of dye in, and sometimes it doesn't work. You got to do it multiple times. So what do we do? And the reason that works, it takes like that, is the molecules of the dye and the molecules of the clothes repel each other. So you really have to force them to want to work. So what we did is we created this material to kind of help me attract it. So the dye, you can use less dye. What does that mean? We use 90% less chemicals, 50% less water, 50% less dye, and 40% less energy because it's just done at room temperature. And we actually partnered with Ralph Lauren, and we unveiled that at the Olympics a couple of years ago. So these clothes were actually made with that eco-fast material so we could dye them. What about right here in West Virginia? So right here in West Virginia, we have two main plants that are producing, which is oxidatics and Triton. So oxidatics makes things like lubricants, quenchant, and fluids. So what is that? It's actually something that goes in your deodorant. It goes in, so if you have a compressor, and compressors, you know, they have a little bit of material, the fluid in there, that's something that goes in there. Antifreeze, wind turbines, and solar panels, we talked about that already. And then with Triton, you have things like surfactants, degreasers, coatings. So surfactants is not just soap and cleaners. It's actually paint. So you think about your paint, if you ever painted a wall, you don't want to have to paint it 15,000 times because every time you spray it out there, it spreads out and it's too thin. You want to be able to spread it, you want to be able to stay, and you don't want to fall back off the wall. So that's all properties of surfactants, which is stuff that's made right here at Triton. I also talked about, you know, sustainability, but the other big thing that Dow's really big on is inclusion and community outreach. So in 2023, which was just last year, over 75% of our employees volunteered. We did over 530 hours. So this is just one slide of the stuff that we did. We have stuff like we had Dancing with the Stars. We had our former site leader participate in that. We did chili cook-off. We did United Way Day of Caring, clean up the cemetery. And these are all the events that we did last year. We're really big with what we do. So if you're interested in a career at DOW, you know, what can you do? Because I'm an engineer. I do have a 4-year degree, but there's actually plenty of other roles that do not require a 4-year degree. So these are just some entry-level jobs that I wanted to highlight. So for example, the engineer, there's different types of engineers. I highlighted more of a production engineer. That's what I'm familiar with, but you're responsible for daily operations of the facility. You do have on-call responsibilities. The big thing you're going to look at with that is safety. Safety is always number one, but also improvements. So this can be new products. This can be optimizing how things are run. It could be a lot of different things. In order to be an engineer, it does require a bachelor's of science in engineering. Most plants prefer chemical. We have a lot of mechanicals here as well. If that's not something that interests you, we always have room for operators. So what operators do is they work shift work. So they work 14, 12-hour shifts in a month. It's rotating. It is a bit of more manual labor. So we only have one board operator per shift, but you might have 3 or 4 operators that are outside. The outside operators are the ones that are hooking up the transfers, charging the manual catalyst, cleaning up the lines, things like that. We do prefer a 2-year associate operator technician degree. And if you actually get into our apprenticeship program, we will pay for your school. We will pay you to go to school and you'll get a job after. The next is the lab. So the lab technicians, they do work shift work as well. They're inside of the lab. They're testing the lab samples that are coming from the site, from the plants. And then they do require a certain amount of chemistry classes. I don't know the exact number. If it's something you're interested in, we can get that figured out for you. And then the last thing are actually, these are not traditionally people that are hired by DOW, but you work here full time, you come in as a contractor. And what that is because you come in through a union. So the first one is a pipe fitter. So pipe fitters are the ones that are sketching, fabricating, installing piping or tubing as needed, because you got to move chemicals from point A to point B, and we're always trying to optimize and improve and replace. They also can do the ones that are welding on equipment. My best option to get into one of those is to get into an apprenticeship. So what you can do is work with your local trade school, and they can be able to contact you with the union that you need. Next is an instrument an I&E tech or instrument electrician. So we can have one or the other and or both. So there's a hybrid of all of them here. So what do? They're the ones that are actually working on the new equipment, the new instruments. So you have things like block valves, control valves, level transmitters, anything that's actually measuring something. They're the ones that are working on it, troubleshooting it, calibrating it, making sure it's up to spec. They also will troubleshoot a lot of existing things because things break. It's outside facility, things are getting older. We had that happen. Again, this requires an apprenticeship. You can work with your local trade school. And you can actually, when you do these apprenticeships, you can work while going to school. And the last one I wanted to highlight is millwright. So they install pumps, motors, rotating equipment, anything that's moving, your millwright's going to be involved with. They also do a lot of troubleshooting. Again, older facilities, these things run 24/7. They're going to break, so they're always fixing things. And they require an apprenticeship as well. And those are just some of the entry-level jobs that I wanted to highlight, but I also wanted to highlight where you can go with that. So from an engineer side, you can actually go on to be like a site leader. So a site leader is the most senior leader at the site. They have experience in multiple roles, and they interact a lot with the community that's going around. These next 5 jobs are actually jobs that don't require an engineering degree. So your technical advisor is somebody that it's a straight day shift job, but they work overtime eligible and they take on call. And it's usually a respected senior operator that becomes basically just day, and they assist operators on shift with tag outs, task completion. They're kind of the subject matter expert of the plant. So you can bring them into meetings, talk about what we're going to do, just ideas. They've got a lot of experience. Next up is the work activity coordinator. This person plans the maintenance work that's going to be completed. So you look at the priorities, availability of workers across the site or the plant, figure out when we're going to do what when. Typically, it's somebody with some maintenance craft experience. It doesn't have to be all of them. You can be somebody that's a pipe fitter and you want to get into something. It's a day job. It's a little bit more steady, not getting called out in the middle of the night. This next one's scheduler. So this is a wide variety of backgrounds, but what you're doing is you're scheduling the products on the reactors. So our reactors here are batch, which means they're constantly starting and stopping. We don't just make one product all the time. And so we have somebody that has to figure out when we're going to make what, make sure our raw materials are here, make sure our trucks are ready so we can load it when it's done. And you also, like, if we have downtime, something breaks, we have to inspect something, because we'll always, you want to keep inspecting things to try and catch it before it breaks. We'll work with them to schedule it. There's a variety of backgrounds with this. There's some people that have a supply chain background that have gone to school. We actually have somebody that they were a former work activity coordinator, became a scheduler. I've seen an engineer become a scheduler. So it's something you can do when with a wide variety of backgrounds. If you like the lab stuff, if you like chemistry more, you could be an analytical technologist. So basically, it's kind of like the technical advisor for the lab. So it's on day shift, and you work to maintain equipment, up-to-date methods to run samples. You help troubleshoot with the lab if they've got issues and not getting samples that are right, or if the plant has questions about how to run something. And last but not least is a gatekeeper. So this person is actually who works with the work activity coordinator from the facility side. So basically, the facility, we have things we want to work on from the plant side, so they work with the work activity coordinator to plan it. And this person can go either way. You can have somebody who's got strong maintenance background or strong operations background, and they'll be that role. Any questions about DOW?
Sorry, Amy, that's what I was just about to ask, if there were any questions about DOW, any of the jobs. I noticed there was several apprenticeship opportunities there. Any questions at all about that and what that means?
Oh, question. Okay. Could you maybe tell them how you go about applying for these jobs?
Sure. So if you are looking at the DOW apprenticeship program, so if you want to be like an operator and you want to get into that apprenticeship side, so we do a lot with, I'm trying to think. So we will post a lot. There's a Facebook group, and you can just go into DOW and apply, and then we will go through. And usually about like in the spring, we'll start looking to hire to bring in, and we actually pay to go to Bridge Valley, and we'll pay for that. If you're interested in more of the crafts type roles, so like the pipe fitter, the millwright, those type of roles, if you look at your local trade school that has that type of degree, then they can connect you with the right union and the apprenticeship program to get into it. That's the easiest thing, because I don't want to tell you what's local to me.
Okay. How many employees do you have at the facility here?
So we have about just over 300 DOW people, but we also have about 300 contractors that come to work every day. This plant used to have about 5,000.
Any other questions?
How long does the apprenticeship program last for you all?
That's a great
question. So
question.
it depends on that is a really good question. So it depends on what you're going for. So if you're going for something like the operator apprenticeship program, it's about 2 years. If you're going into the pipe fitters, so the pipe fitters, I think they're in the apprentice for like 4 years, but their last like 2 years, or the whole time they're coming to work every day. So they come to work every day, they work in that 40 hours, and then they go to school, and then their last like 2 years, they're just working. So you're getting paid to go to work as your apprentice, and you're just working with someone that's more senior. And then once you're certified, then you can work by yourself.
How much do you get paid through the apprenticeship program? Is it just like a regular payroll? Like, is it the same amount?
Yeah, so it depends on which one you go into. So if you're working, we do offer overtime for all of them. So I'm not sure what the craft people make, but the DOW, we do pay. I know that I think they're just getting renounced. We try to pay pretty competitive to the area. For the DOW side, I know that a little better because I am DOW. We pay you for 40 hours a week, and we pay you to go to school. We pay you to study for your school. We pay for your school, and we also pay to make up the difference. You come to work for whatever amount of hours hits your 40 hours. If we're doing some crazy maintenance, we're like, hey, you want to come out and see this? We don't do it every time. We'll actually pay you overtime. Come out that day to see what's going on. And then if you do the pipe fitter or the millwright or something apprentice, you get paid overtime. I'm not sure what your rate is. It just depends on what the union and stuff and plans have worked out. But like if you get called out in the middle of the night or you have to stay late, we will pay you overtime for it all.
Okay. Any other
And
questions?
Amy, with the apprenticeship, you know, once you graduate from your trade school and, you know, you're doing this apprenticeship with DOW, are you guaranteed a job with DOW?
If you do the apprenticeship with DOW, you are not 100% guaranteed a job with DOW, but we put 2 years of effort into you. We want to keep you. So if we cannot find a place for you, you get a degree out of it you can just walk away with, and we do not charge you back for it. And there are other companies that within the area that do hire from the operator apprenticeship type in the area, at least in Charleston, or you could go to Texas or whatever and look for a role as well. And if you get hired in with DOW and you decide you want to move to one of the other places in the world, DOW will actually move you. So.
Okay. I think that's all for questions for right now.
Okay. So the big thing I wanted to talk about from a student activity side is around communication. So what is communication? Why is it important? You know, so it kind of builds and maintains these relationships. You want to build effective teams, grow. You want to, you know, foster innovation because you might have an idea how to do something, but so might Billy beside you. And so you want him to be able to speak his idea because it might be better. He might have had something you've seen before. And it makes sure, you know, if everybody knows what's going on, it's easier to work together. So why is this important? So for this, so we're going to do a little bit of an activity. So we need to find a partner, and I don't know if there's an even or an odd number. We might have to do a group of 3. But you do need a pencil and a paper or a pen and paper. And what's going to happen is one person is going to be the artist, but you're going to close your eyes and you cannot talk. And the other person is going to describe the drawing, and you cannot help them with the drawing. So we're going to do 60 seconds. I'll give you a minute to get some paper and pair up. I'll also get my phone ready so I can time 60 seconds. Are we good?
Okay, I think we're ready.
Okay, so we're going to have 60 seconds. So I will go to the next slide. It's going to show what we're going to draw. And so person A, you're going to close your eyes. You cannot talk. All right, let's go. Thirty seconds down. Ten seconds. All right, we're at a minute.
Okay,
So
everybody
person A, you can open your eyes.
open your eyes and look. Does your drawing look like the one that's up on the screen?
It was hard to do, wasn't it? Just relied on one person to talk.
Look at Connor.
I see yours, mister.
Okay.
Did anybody get it?
Nobody got it exactly.
No.
Okay.
This is Rollins.
Okay.
We forgot what we.
All right. Okay. There
Okay.
was that one. We kind of got a cat face.
Was
Okay,
that hard to do because you couldn't talk?
that one.
Okay, we got close.
There's one.
All right, yeah. I like them. They're very lovely.
Yeah, she had.
So now we're going to do it again. Only this time, person A, that's the artist, you're going to be drawing. Your eyes are going to be closed, but this time you can talk. So you can ask questions. You can see what we're doing. So I'll give you a minute to get another piece of paper or flip it over or whatever and get ready.
Flip it over. If you're the drawer, you have to close your eyes now. Remember to close your eyes. No cheating.
All right, we ready?
Yep.
And go.
Right there. Right there. Oh, it's just like a little. Sorry. Make it.
Go right to
Go down.
30 seconds.
Now, go to your right.
10 seconds.
So connected.
All right, it's been a minute.
All right, pencils down.
You can open your eyes.
And on the squid billies.
Oh.
Wow.
Did anybody get the octopus?
Did I get it exactly right?
No. I called it.
We had the right idea.
We get close, yeah. Oh, I like it.
Oh, here it was. Here's a good one. This was the last one I showed.
Cute. It's better than I can do.
Oh, okay, that was not a good one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, we're going to do it one more time.
All right, guys.
However, this time you can actually both have your eyes open, you can both talk, and you can both help out with the drawing. That makes sense? So, are we ready? And let's go.
No, it's black with white stripes. Exactly.
It's gonna look like everybody had their eyes closed.
How about that zebra stripe?
30 seconds left.
It's missing 2 legs. Come on, no. There's one like a dog. Yeah. She goes too best. I shall. Just to get a
10 seconds. All right, it's been a minute.
All right. Well, we got any really good horses?
Yeah,
Zebras?
right here, this belongs in a museum.
I don't know. We don't have very many artists when it comes to zebras.
It's a little bit complicated. So between the three, how was it when you could draw together and talk together? Was it a little easier to get things done?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it talks about that kind of helps relate why communication is so important, because the first round, the first person you were just doing what you were told to do. Versus the second round, you could at least talk and ask questions. You couldn't see, but you could still talk. And then this last time, you can both work on it together. So that's kind of when you equate that to real life. When you're working on projects together, the more you know, it's easier to accomplish the end goal, which in this case is a picture, but it might be a report, it might be some task, whatever's getting done. Does anybody have any questions or anything?
No, no questions.
Okay.
Amy, I just have one. I apologize. I kind of wanted to go back to the apprenticeship question. I know you mentioned that they
Sure.
could go to their local trade school, but I think I may have missed. Is there, any information on DOW's website, or where could they go to kind of get like an overview of the apprenticeships offered at DOW?
So DOW offers apprenticeships for our operative technician here in the United States. So what we do is we actually contract out our pipe fitters, our instrument techs, and our millwrights. We have some that were historical DOW from 20 years ago when we hired them, but now we do not. We typically hire from them. And so what we do is we pull them from our local union halls. And so talking to some of those people that are involved in it, they said that the best way to get involved in your local union hall is to work through your trade school. So you find a trade school that might offer something with like instrument, and then they can connect you to the right people. If you do the DOW apprenticeship program, which is the operators here locally, so if you want to do the operator side, you can actually go onto our DOW website, and there should be something about applying. In the spring, we'll kind of really push our apprenticeship program, because that's typically when we hire them to start out. So they get hired about August, and then they'll start and they go to school starting in September. So we'll really push it through Facebook, through social media, through LinkedIn, but you can also just go to the DOW website and apply.
Okay, great. So if anyone is interested in that following high school, really pay attention starting this spring if you wanted to do it immediately out of high school.
Yes. And we have quite a few people that we've hired directly out of high school, and then it's about 2 years. And then you get a full-time job with benefits when it's all done.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Amy about DOW or anything like that?
I don't think so.
It was a pleasure getting to meet all of you.
Pleasure to meet you all too.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
everyone have a great day. Thank you all so much.
You too.
You too.
Have a good day.
Bye.
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 Yeah, certified.